you know, it's like everyone's so different. Some people are like, I don't think about any of this stuff. I just kind of go about my day to day. And, you know, if I meet a girl I like, that's great. Other people are like, I have a severe sex addiction and I can't experience joy without the touch of another person on a daily basis.
Well, you're thinking about it more, so you're probably seeing it more. You know, when you like hear a word, you learn a word, and then you hear it all the time. It's like you're creating the environment that you're chasing.
Right. Jesus Christ.
So I'm not like chasing sex. So I'm not always like aware of a possibility for sex, even though it could be around me. I don't even realize.
Right. Fuck.
To me, it's like maybe it's a reworking. Maybe you need to
just hit me with.
Maybe you need to learn different words or something to distract yourself.
That just kind of hit me in the back of my brain there. Ruh-roh, did we just figure something out about ourselves? Holy shit. Let's get to the next question here. What's a fashion thing that men do that you can't stand?
Tucker's red. Tucker's red.
Holy shit. What's your least favorite kind of sock? We are back with another motherfucking episode of the Practical Advice for Weird Little Guys Who Want to Be Cool. Too long of a title podcast, baby. The pod has returned, as I mentioned on the previous episode. And I gotta be honest, I'm feeling fucking amazing today, which is incredibly rare for me because my life is in shambles, which we will be getting into later in the episode. And before we do, I am going to introduce, and get this, folks, we are joined by two guests for the first time in pod history. Don't say a fucking word. They don't even know you're here yet. Dan, keep your fucking mouth shut. We got two guests today, everybody, and I want the studio audience to go absolutely buck fucking, get this goddamn it. I want the studio audience to go absolutely buck wild in the motherfucking house for the one and only Olivia Carter and Dan Docimo.
Yeah. Who is this guy?
Sorry, I got these two absolute dogs off the street, and I said, "Do you want to come in my studio and talk about having sex with people?" I hope that's okay with everyone. Dan is in our newly freshly installed guest corner. Sorry.
Guest timeout.
Sorry, if you're listening on audio,
we could rotate sides.
Yeah, we got Dan kind of trapped in the back of the studio here. Guys, thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, same.
How we doing? How's everybody doing?
Thrilled to be here.
Incredible. I met you guys in Chicago. I didn't actually find you on the street, unfortunately.
Yeah, we go way back.
I met you in Chicago many years ago.
Yes, where you fell in love with me, and then it's only grown stronger.
Yes, caught me red-handed. And same goes for you, Dan. Tried to sleep with Dan many times, and I continue to be rejected. Everyone in this room rejects me. It's unbelievable.
Raise your hand if you tried to sleep with Dan in this room. Dan, put your hand up.
It's an epidemic. Well, yeah, but I didn't get rejected.
Yeah,
Right,
you fuck
true.
yourself a lot.
True,
Yeah.
Are you guys masturbating a lot?
No,
No?
hardly ever.
Okay. And Dan, how about you?
Not a lot. I think a normal amount.
What's a normal amount?
Like a few times a week.
Okay, that's about what I'm doing. Well, I don't know. Sometimes.
How much are you doing?
A few times a week, but that's because I'm trying to do a few times a week.
Are you doing it for a reason?
Yeah, like I'm trying not to do it every day.
Oh, well, that's
kind
not
of-
bad, I don't think. I think if you want to jerk off every day, you should jerk off every day.
I don't know. I think there's something to the sort of male vitality of.
Is it because you're watching like porn?
No, I'm off porn. 6 days pornography free. Not to brag, everybody. Every single episode on this show, I am some amount of days.
You have a recard down.
Yeah.
Like you're always three today.
The listeners know every fucking episode. I'm like 4 days off this week. Are you guys addicted to porn at all, or do you have a porn problem?
Don't watch porn. It makes me uncomfortable.
Really? Why?
I don't know. It just makes me. It looks like it hurts when they have sex.
Right. It probably does.
But when I don't, it confuses me. I think it's because I watched porn a lot before I had sex, and I think it confused me about sex.
What did you think going in?
I think I was something about it made my stomach hurt seeing the pussy get fucked. Something about it. I was like, that
Wow.
this can't be fun for her.
Wow. And
It doesn't look fun for her in porn.
well, that leads me. I mean,
Do you think it looks fun for her?
It definitely doesn't look fun, but I don't know if I'm really thinking about that, to be honest.
Yeah, that's why mostly men watch porn.
Yes, which we will be getting
But
into later.
if you are trying to quit, think about it.
Think
Right.
about what?
it'll make you feel really weird, and then you'll have to turn it off.
Yes. Yeah, I think I watched a lot of documentaries about porn making. Like in school, they showed us those.
What do you mean?
Like about how porn is made and like how kind of fucked up it is.
Oh, you're talking about I've seen the documentary. It's like 18 and
Just like a lot of women being like manipulated into it, but
yeah, it is.
don't let me yuck your yum.
No, it is. I mean, make no mistake. This is an anti-pornography podcast. We simply won't fucking stand.
It's
for
got to
it.
be bad, right?
It's I think it's fucking terrible. For
I
you.
mean, yeah, but if you don't manipulate them, think about it. How are you supposed to get an 18-year-old to fuck a 45-year-old man? I just like what do you want them to do?
$750 seems like the asking price from what I had a friend who did a porno for $750.
For $750?
Yes, isn't that crazy?
That's not
a
enough
lot of
money.
I know.
How much dollars?
Whoa.
$750.
$750 to have people record them having sex.
This was in college, so at the time I think money was way different.
And it's on the internet?
I've never found it, but
LinkedIn
I have
bio.
certainly looked. Yeah, I've certainly checked her link tree a few times. Interesting. What kind of pornography are you guys watching?
I don't
Dan?
know.
Oh, I'm off.
No
right.
one here watches porn except for you.
Okay, right. I forgot that
What porn do you watch?
I'm into like really grainy, like a guy with his girlfriend. Like he
Filmed on an Android?
Yeah, it's like he like shot it on his iPhone from like his closet, and it looks like I'm like watching from the closet type of situation. I feel like I like to feel like I'm there.
I
but
like
I'm
that
not.
because you're like a dream chaser in that. You're not just a viewer. You're like someone with a dream and a goal.
Yeah,
You're not just a horny guy watching. You're a horny guy making moves.
Yeah, I want to be involved. I want to know how they got there, what their life journey was. Speaking of how they got there, now Olivia, you're from Kansas. Dan, where are you from?
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Interesting.
Where are
And
you
how-
from?
I'm from North Carolina.
Right.
Isn't it wild how all of our paths have interceded here?
Yeah,
Who
it
would've
is
thought?
special.
What was y'all's lives like growing up? Were you repressed as a young child growing up in Pittsburgh, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up
He's still
I grew up
repressed now.
a pretend straight male, and yeah, it was interesting stuff.
What was that like?
It sucked. It's like when people are like, it was hard. It's like they're not kidding.
Get out of town.
Whenever people are like, I really struggled with it, and you're like, oh my fucking god, I don't care. But they did, and so did I. But yeah, I remember like.
Now, real quick for the listeners, are you non-binary or what is it?
Oh yeah, I'm non-binary and pansexual. I'm all the like stuff that people like the least on average.
Dan lost us the election, everybody.
I didn't, but people with the same pronouns as me probably
I know.
didn't help.
And what was that? So what was that like? When did you figure that out about yourself?
I don't know. It like depends on when you count. Cause like that's the other thing that confuses people is like gender diverse folks are always like, well, I knew the whole time, but I kind of didn't know. And it's like, again, they're not lying. It's really confusing. But in like my early 20s, I started to be like, oh, I think this is like true. And I would like push it away a lot. I'd be like, no, fuck that. I'm a man. And it's like, I've sort of was like, I don't think men have to like convince themselves that they're men like 4 times a day.
You'd be surprised.
Well,
Tucker has this affirmation sheet.
look inward if you're doing that a lot.
Or start a podcast.
Right. Start a podcast where you tell other people how to be men.
It's up to you fellas, whatever.
But yeah, no, and I grew up like religious, and I was like in a small town like right outside of Pittsburgh, and so like I didn't know that there was any such thing as like trans people or non-binary people. I learned in like 2016 when everybody else did.
Right, yeah.
And but I knew like I was into like some of my male classmates, and I thought that was like the end of the world because I was actually convinced that like I was gonna go to hell.
Right.
Which was like a tough, and then I also had to just like learn pre-algebra. Like it's like do your solve for X, and I'm like I have some shit on my mind.
I'm going to die and burn forever.
Like I'm gonna burn forever. And my parents are like, "Why'd you get a C in this class?" And I'm like, "How did I get a C?"
You're like, I don't know who I am.
How did I even pull that off?
That's
I
a
was
beautiful
like-
metaphor for figuring out your gender identity. Solve for X.
Solve for it. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because I guess
Solve
back
for
then we didn't
X.
really have a word for it. like I didn't really know the word for it until around.
They had just theater kid.
yeah.
Yeah,
like
well,
everyone in theater was a little non-binary, but we didn't have words for it. They were like, they're just kind of.
well, I mean, even like it's kind of interesting if you look at it from the cultural understanding of like people who have been trans since like before being trans was a more culturally like visible thing. Like Eddie Izzard,
Yeah.
for the longest time, used like he him pronouns and described herself as like a bloke in a dress,
Yeah.
basically. And then like once trans people started being, you know, more accepted and also more hated at the same time, she was like, yeah, I'm trans. I just, you know, you couldn't really explain to people in the 90s
Right.
that
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what you were doing. So you had to just be like, no, I'm just a guy that dresses like a woman and acts like a woman. So
And
I think it was, we're all learning together.
right.
And some people have very little patience for that, and they make us all look annoying.
And were you like researching that when you were younger, like looking into like what are these feelings, and like you couldn't find anything, or was there like internet forums and shit, you know?
No, the stuff I was looking into was like fucking conversion therapy. No, I'm not even kidding, because I wasn't like, oh, I'm having
Looking for
these-
community.
I'm having these feelings. I wonder what this means. I was much more like, how do I make myself stop
Right.
having these feelings? Because like I would,
Did you think you were gay?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I thought I was like everything. I thought I was so many.
And when do you think in your life you kind of really just started to embrace it, and you're like, why would I give a fuck?
It was like pretty recently, like 3-ish years ago. I think it kind of coincided with like when I stopped drinking heavily all the time too.
Yeah. Almost
so
like
then-
you were burying something.
Right. And so then it's almost like
Familiar.
that. It's almost like that. And so like I think that was kind of at a point where like I couldn't really like push it away anymore. And
Almost like you couldn't push it away anymore.
it is almost like that.
And now, Olivia, you grew up in Kansas, and you grew up very, very religious as well. The pod knows I've also grew up very religious, but that was your background, your upbringing as well.
Yes, I wore a purity ring. It said "True
Interesting.
love waits."
Are you serious?
It was engraved. Yes.
And how do you think that fucked you up?
I think I did think I had value because I didn't have sex and the other girls did or something.
Yeah.
Like I felt special because they were whores and I was special.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, I was like not a whore. And I think I
we
still
love
have
whores. We
and I
love
think I still have a fucked up thing where I'm like I keep the number count is low.
Right.
And maybe it doesn't need to be that way. Maybe I could have had sex with people I liked and I didn't because I was like scared what it would mean for my self-worth.
Right. Do you think that's something you're still getting over, or that's something you think you kind of have accepted?
Whenever I have sex with a stranger, I feel very bad. I don't like having sex with people I don't know.
Interesting.
But I'll try it. Like I tried it. Like I was trying to do some sort of like just like what's it called? Like therapy where you go into it. Like
Oh,
Conversion
exposure
therapy.
therapy.
exposure therapy.
Conversion therapy.
Exposure therapy. I was like just going on field and having sex with random people. And then I was like, everything I do is meaningful to me in my life. Why am I having meaningless sex?
Right.
But I don't know like how much of that is tied to like you wonder how much you do is actually like conscious thinking and like what is like your childhood.
Yeah, like trying to decipher the difference between like being repressed, I mean, as a child, and then what's actually just who you actually are.
Yeah, but then sometimes I'm like, it's not that deep, Olivia. It's not that big of a deal.
Right.
You're fine.
Well, I was also very repressed, and I think I went the opposite direction. We were talking about that the other day. What about you?
I mean, I do think it's kind of normal to like feel bad after you have sex with a stranger.
People
Like,
love that.
Like
People love
I'm
that.
I'm saying like I don't think you have to feel bad about feeling bad.
Yes,
after
that's what I'm
having
saying. I'm
Right.
saying, but like, who
sex with
cares
a
if I feel that way?
Right.
stranger because it's like it's like that's I mean, this is gonna be, I guess, I don't want to sound like I'm shaming anyone, but I think that's always
Shame away.
That's always struck me as like one of the weirdest things you can do. It's like I would never poop in front of a stranger. Why are you having sex with a stranger?
Well, here's what I was so repressed.
I
sexually
only
going-
poop in front of my close
I
friends.
only poop in front of my loved ones. No, but it just kind of feels like the same thing where it's just like, you know.
Well, my thing is, I was so repressed growing up from religion and everything that I have found I refuse to be shameful about those type of things. Like sex with strangers is fun for me because it allows me to like kind of come outside of myself.
Yeah, you like sex with strangers.
Yeah, I'm almost addicted to it, one could possibly say.
Almost.
Almost.
In unison, everybody.
I'm almost addicted to
Well,
it.
the reason I'm asking these questions is because I think as a group, we've all been very repressed.
We've all taken it different places.
Yes, but we've somehow ended up in the same room, which I find very interesting, how we can all have these bizarre experiences, and it all kind of leads us to trying to express ourselves creatively. And one of the things we preach on this damn show is always being yourself and being in pursuit of your dreams at all times. And I think we're all doing that, correct? Do you guys feel that way? You guys feel like
Yes.
you're yourself?
Yes, you have such a good
Almost.
attitude about positivity and loving yourself.
Yeah, I mean,
Like the other day, you're like, you just fucking think you're awesome.
yeah, I think I'm awesome. Do you guys think you're awesome?
I think you're awesome too.
Thank you, Queen.
Yeah.
I think I'm awesome.
Right back
Yeah.
at you, Dan. You think you're awesome?
Yeah. Why
Right.
not?
What makes you awesome?
Well, where did self-love come into the picture? What helped you develop? Because again, this is the Practical Advice for Weird Little Guys show. And how did you kind of cultivate self-love coming from such a repressed and difficult situation, with all due respect?
I think it was a lot of like, I don't know, feeling like anger at first. Just
Yeah.
being like, that was so fucked up. Like that whole thing was just so fucked up. And it's like, I don't know. At first I was like, I shouldn't be like feeling this weird like resentment and anger. But then I was like, no, I think I just have to like feel it and kind of like let it go and be like, you know, it is okay to just be who I am, which I was not like.
Which is scary.
Right. I didn't grow up like believing that it was okay to be who I am. And so it was weird to like have to sort of pretend I believe that until I actually started believing it.
Right.
And like still working on that, you know, but
Right,
it
it's
is
a
just
journey.
kind of like, just chill the fuck out. Like chill.
Yeah.
And also it's a little bit like, if you think you're going to hell, like get over yourself. I feel like that's an ego thing. Like you really think anyone gives a shit enough to burn you forever?
Right. You're not that cool.
Right. Like who works in hell? Whose job is it to just poke you with a stick forever?
Yeah. Who got to hell and was like, I work the gate. I don't
Right.
actually have to go down there. They won't let me up there, but I do run the gate here.
But it's also just like, you know, they're gonna. What a dumb concept. Anyway.
And what about you, Olivia? As like, especially as a woman, like finding self-love and
Especially as a woman.
bingo.
I don't know. I feel like, do you guys feel like I feel like I constantly have to earn love. And I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon.
You mean from like, just like, you know, being funny and going out and performing? And
Yes, like I feel like I need to earn, need to be constantly
Yeah.
earning it or whatever. Because if I was just like, oh, I'm just deserve it as I am now, I'm enough, would I stop growing?
Right. No, I feel the exact same way. I think that's like, especially a performer thing. You're like, I'm only as good as the last thing I did.
Yeah.
Is that something you work on?
No.
You should.
I'm not working on it. I'm like not, I don't think I've made any improvements in myself at all. Like I'm going to therapy, I'm journaling, I'm trying it. I don't think anything's happened. I think this is just who I am.
Well, that's probably the right thing then.
I think my problems are just going to be my problems forever and it's fine.
What are you
I'm
afraid
like-
of?
No, I'm not afraid. I'm afraid, obviously everyone's afraid of like regrets. Like I'm afraid that I'll like get to like my old age and I'll be like, I didn't hang out with my friends enough. I didn't, or if it's not that, it's that I didn't focus on my passions enough. And if it's not that, it's something else. And so I have these fears of like, well, I feel like I've been enough at the end of my days. And it's like, you might even not make it there.
Fuck, dude. I wasn't even thinking
Okay.
about that, and now I am.
Can I ask you this? What does it feel like to be a woman? And Dan, we'll get to you next, babe.
Like, boy,
I
it
have
itches.
no idea.
What's going on? What
I have
the hell
no
is going
idea.
on?
I have no idea. I have
Enough
no
of this small
idea.
talk. What
I
the fuck
have no
is up with you
idea.
guys?
What is it like? Do you think I'm a woman?
Well, I don't know. How do you? I've
Do you feel like I'm a woman?
certainly, yeah.
We have been talking over you a lot, so
Yeah. Yeah, cut it with the yapping,
Like, do you
lady.
think that I'm like, do you think that I'm like a feminine woman?
Yeah.
You think I'm feminine?
Yeah.
Do you think I'm masculine?
More so than some women, yeah.
See, that's what I don't understand.
Well, what's your like day-to-day experience like as a woman? Like, do you kind of go around? I'm so fascinated by women. Like, do you go around? Are you kind of like afraid or? Seriously, like.
My day-to-day experience as a
That's
woman.
that's
No, I'm trying to figure out how to explain this just because like you're asking me a question. I like how it's different from you. I guess there is.
Is there a difference?
Yeah, of course there is.
Okay, well,
but I
that's
don't know
why
how
I'm
to express
asking,
it. I feel like I don't. Okay, so I'm trying to think. Let's break this down. So let's put us in the same scenario. If you're walking, let's say you're going to go grab coffee in the morning. What are your thoughts as you're going to grab coffee?
Like, I go outside, and if I see a beautiful woman, I go, oh my god, look how fucking hot she fucking is. And then
You didn't need to include that in this.
Well, that's and then
No,
I get,
that's an important part
No,
of his
that's like what it's-
experience.
that's
All right,
what it's
okay.
like.
Keep going. I'm
and then
sorry.
I get into the coffee shop, and I'm like, can I have a coffee? And then if the barista's hot, I'm like, oh my god, look how fucking hot the fucking barista is. And then I'll like think about like, you know, how little money I have and how I've made nothing but mistakes in my life. But it's like pretty much my day is peppered between those two.
Those two thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay. My day is peppered between. I think I want people to think I'm kind, and I don't want to come off like a bitch. I'm always worried about coming off like a bitch.
Oh, no, this is quite damning.
Is
of
that
me.
bad?
No, I'm
I feel
more
like I'm
laughing at myself right now. Keep going.
I know. I didn't mean that condescending.
I've never left the house once and gone, am I
First,
kind?
I leave my house and I give money to poor people.
I leave the house and go, look at the ass on that chick.
No. Then maybe that is the difference, honestly. There's less on your mind.
Yeah, because I find that's to be such a dominant force in my life, and I always wonder if women walk around with the same
Well,
thing.
I'm not a particularly horny person.
Right.
Other people are. I'm just not. I rarely like see someone and go, I want to have sex with them.
Right.
I have to like you as a person and then I want to have sex with you. And then I'm really horny. Like when I like someone and I'm attracted to them, I'm horny all the time. But only when I like someone.
Right.
So if I don't like someone, I'm just like walking around, looking at cake. Not cake.
Looking at cake.
I don't know, looking at
So it's not different.
Right.
Fucking
Yeah, I was about to say pretty much
pastries,
the same
thinking
thing.
about,
You're
like, my
oh my
next
god, I
sweet
want to fucking
treat.
eat that chocolate croissant so fucking bad. Look at that fucking croissant.
sweet treats, I guess, is my ass.
Okay. Okay.
I
Interesting.
don't know how else to explain.
What about you, Dan? I feel like you have the most interesting. Do you feel different at all?
I feel like on the horniness scale, I'm like pretend horny,
Right.
where I'll be like, oh, that person's really attractive. But then if I actually think about like if I were to have sex with them, like, no, I don't want that to happen.
Right. You want to just the idea.
Like
of being
if the barista's hot, I'll still be like, wow, that barista's really attractive.
Yeah.
But I'll also be like, you know, what a pain in the ass it would be
Yeah.
to like have them like know my address. Or like have to go to their house and then like, you know, you just like find out something weird
Yeah.
about them and it turns out they're a nightmare or something like that.
Yeah. I
Right.
can't do the.
And so it's like from afar, you could just be like, damn, that's a hot barista. But I don't have the type of horniness where you actually want to like close deals.
Yeah, closing deal.
Right,
Closing
okay.
deal because the
I'm like
steps-
Zillow horny. Like you look
You want to
at
look?
you look at houses and you're like, I'm not buying these at all. But it's fun to look.
But you would never hire a realtor and go, what do we think of the down payment?
Right. And it's probably the same reason I don't want to buy the house is the same reason I don't want to have sex with those people. And it's just because I don't have any money.
Boy, preach. I mean, my God.
I'm like, I don't want to explain to this person that they're going to have to help me out.
Right, right. Yeah, I suppose I just find this also interesting because I'm so curious about what's happening in other people's brains and lives.
I know. I feel like I'm getting stupid or something.
What do you think the problem with the cause of that is?
I don't know. I feel like I'm just thinking about the same things over and over again, and I there's not a lot of new thought.
Yeah, that is a problem.
Well, I'll
They
get
call
like
that CTE. It's from
what's
when
that?
you play football and you get hit in the head too many times.
No, I don't have that.
Okay. Were you like drowned too much when they were baptizing you out in
No,
Kansas?
no, I don't have these
Were
things.
you drowned too
I was
much?
not drowned too
They
much.
just kept dunking
I was
you
drowned
under.
the perfect amount.
Someone drowned this child
Someone drowned
too
me.
much.
Someone drowned me.
Now she's gay and not horny.
I was drowned the perfect amount.
The problem is not that she drowned; it's that she drowned a lot.
Too
Yeah,
much.
they kept dunking you under, and now you can't fucking think of, what you want out of life. Interesting. Okay. I didn't mean that. That was a little riff from me. You know that was a little joke from Old Tucky. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, let me ask you this. What is one thing that y'all wish all men would stop doing?
Rape.
And I meant to say besides rape.
I think that's it.
Fuck.
I think it'd be way better if they didn't do that.
Are you sure?
I think it would be way better. We could do without. They can still do whatever the other stuff. They can still, steal money or do all those things or break hearts, but rape,
Okay.
I think, would change.
What
the
about
world.
besides rape, Dan?
Sexual assault?
I feel horrible about this, but I think my answer was already gonna be besides rape.
Right. What is it?
Like, I don't know, but as soon as Olivia said rape, I was like, damn, I'm not that good of a person because I didn't even think
Me.
about saying rape. Besides, I don't know, not following me on all platforms.
Right. I was gonna be like ankle socks.
Ankle socks.
But okay.
Dude,
but that
you should do a street video of you asking everybody what's the one. All women would say rape, and guys would be like, fucking khaki shorts.
Yeah, I kind of meant like, what's some advice for the fellas? But I guess we are an anti-rape
Okay,
podcast.
but thinking smaller scale, what
Yeah.
men should stop doing.
What's something about men that really bothers you that you would love to see change that you feel like you can't really tell a man?
Sometimes, like a guy, when you're seeing someone out and you kind of make eyes at each other.
Yeah.
I hate when you're not feeling it and they still do that because it kind of makes me feel uncomfortable. Staring, I guess.
Oh, like as you're walking by and they're like looking at you, like.
Or like on the subway, they'll just like keep staring at you and you'll make eye contact because someone's staring at you, and then you'll be like, oh shit, they think I want to have sex with them because I made eye contact with them. So then you kind of try to not make eye contact, and then they'll just keep staring at you. Like, I don't know if there's a way to signal like.
No, this is exactly
mistake.
what I want to know.
Yeah, but it's hard because when you are attracted to them, you do want that.
Right. So this brings us to our most popular question asked on the show, because I ask every single guest this, and we get a different response every week. And fellas, you already know what it is. We ask it every single time. How do you approach a woman in public?
Well, you just have to accept that you could be that weird guy and get over it.
Right, but what do you do if you're trying to like how would you like for a man to approach you? Is it okay if a man approaches you in public?
Yes, but if I feel like he's weird, I might be a bitch, and I feel like he's cute and I want to talk to him, I won't be.
You see, this is the resounding answer every single time, is that it depends on if you're hot or not.
Yes, of course. Of course, and if women came up to you, it'd be the same thing. If she was like a weird McCrungeon, I don't know, girl that was like, hi, and like,
I don't know. Even then, I
space.
find that flattering. When we get hit on so rarely, it's even nice when it's an old, disgusting woman. Even
Okay.
when like a grandma tells me I'm cute, I go
we
in
have
the
different
bathroom, I'm like,
experiences.
look at me.
We have different experiences.
Right. What about you, Dan? How would you approach someone you're interested in public?
I actually, my partner and I watch a very fun Instagram like masculinity channel, and
You're on it right now, brother.
no. It's like
With Tucker Brookshire.
so. All I can think about right now is that guy's advice when he's like, if you see a woman you like in public, and his first thing is approach quickly within 3 seconds. And then what you do is, are you listening? What you do is you look at her and you like find an item she has, and then you like compliment her on it. So basically, what you do is you just run at her
Chase her
fast.
down.
Run at her
Overalls!
fast. It shows that you have initiative, and then you go, "That's a nice item you have,"
Right.
and then they're yours, I guess.
That's how
The
police
real
identify
ended
them.
after that. So I think.
Yeah, you kind of got to corner them.
No, but I think the real answer is like, I think you can kind of tell if someone's remotely interested
Some people can't tell.
in talking to you or
Yeah, because I always ask like the train or something. I always see like a woman on the train where I'm like, I would love to hit on
I think the train is safe. I think you can absolutely hit on
Okay,
people on
can
the
I
train.
tell you, you're like every other person. You say yes, another person
Well,
will say
that's what
no.
I'm saying is the risk of approaching strangers is like, yeah, you could have an awkward moment where they think you're weird.
Do you ever approach strangers in public?
Yes.
And how does that go?
I'm recently started doing that.
How's that going?
It's going good. It makes me feel good about myself.
What do they say?
Usually nice.
What do you say?
Well, this one guy dropped his muffin.
Let me guess. You said you dropped your
I
muffin.
said, oh my gosh, you dropped your muffin.
Okay, you heard it here first,
Whoa.
fellas. Go to a coffee shop and wait for a pastry to hit the
Start
ground.
Yeah,
dropping
like
your
try
muffin.
to throw like rocks at someone's
dropping-
muffin.
Yeah, here's what you do: you knock a chick's muffin
Why
off her
not?
table,
Slap a muffin out of someone's hand,
and you
and
go,
then be like,
"Did you just drop your muffin? I'm
you
Tucker."
dropped your muffin.
But I
Yeah,
thought
hey,
that
how
as-
you doing?
Hey, nice muffin.
I'll tell you guys, I really thought we were gonna have a meet cute because like I didn't see he was cute when he dropped his muffin. I just was like, "Your muffin," and then he like bent down to pick it up, and we like made he was panning up, and I was panning up, and it was like,
guys-
oh, he's really attractive. And then I said something like, shh. I don't know what I said. I think I said something like, "Oh no," and he was like, "It's all right," and I was like, "What are you gonna do?" And he was like, I guess I could still eat it. And I was like, don't do that. And then he sat down. I thought he would come up and talk to me again. Never did.
Right, you wanted him to approach you and for
I wanted him to swing back by and be like, on his
Oh.
way out.
Well, this is something you and I would,
How did that feel when a guy was like, "Well, I could talk to that lady, but I'd rather eat a muffin off the floor. I'm gonna stay here and eat my muffin off the floor.
He
I
goes,
could throw out this muffin and go hit on someone.
She's no
but-
banana nut.
Yeah, but oh man, this floor muffin is still looking pretty fine as hell.
Well, that is how it feels to be a man. Like, I mean, I'm always out here in public hitting on women, and it does feel like they're like, "Ooh, I'd rather take the trash out and sit by this garbage can." than
That
speak to you."
sucks. That sucks.
Yeah.
That is sad.
Yeah. Do you have any sympathy for?
Of course.
Okay. What about you, Dan?
Yeah, I mean,
Do you have any
we're-
sympathy for me?
Do you have any sympathy?
well, here's the thing.
Does anyone care?
But y'all care.
Given our like outward gender expression, we're very much in the same boat a
Right.
lot of the time.
Right,
Because
true.
people generally assume I'm a man.
Right.
And so like I don't go up to people in public because I don't go up to people in public. Like it's like a social anxiety thing, I think, for me. Is just if that's the only way for me to find love, I would just die alone.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I feels that way sometimes. that-
right. And so, but like I am always like, don't be that weird guy in
No one
someone's
wants to be the
story.
weird guy. It is kind
Right.
of sad. But we're the weird girls sometimes, you know? We're all kind of, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to say hi to someone.
But Tucker makes a good point that like the weird girl is still flattering.
Yeah. I mean, I
The
don't care.
95-year-old woman with like
well,
a
you
dead
guys
tooth
created a society where that's what the norm is.
is
So
like still flattering, or just like someone who's like very clearly kind of like a little bit like dangerous, where you're like you weird me out, and I think that you would like hurt me if we got close. But then you're like, but I like this attention. I'm not gonna lie.
Now, Dan, can I ask you what does being misgendered feel like? Does it make you angry? Are you like, I get it, it's a weird thing. We are not used to it as a society, or what?
It doesn't make me angry. Like I think it's kind of an unreasonable thing to get angry about because we are not used to it as a society. And
Yeah.
it's like if you see somebody who looks like me and you call them sir, like 99% of the time you're going to be right.
Right.
And so it's like I don't think it's that like I walk around with like a deep voice and I'm like 240 pounds and I have stubble, and when someone's like sir, I'm not like, where's
what's
this
wrong
coming
with
from?
you?
Like where are you?
That's when you knocked a muffin off the damn
Excuse
table.
me? Yeah, give me this fucking muffin. This is mine now. But like, I will say that it's incredibly disheartening, and it makes you feel like shit. Like it's just it's just a constant reminder that like, oh, almost nobody like sees me the way that I am,
That's kind of what I want to get into.
except
here.
for like people that I'm like really close to and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
you know, my last few relationships were all people that like do not see me as a man, which was like huge because I
Yeah.
was like always someone's like boyfriend before that, which always felt like weird.
Yeah.
But it is just like, you know, you go out like especially like we have so many surface level interactions in general, just going out and like doing shows and stuff, and you just like, yeah, you're just constantly reminded like, ah, fuck, I look like a man. Like people think I'm a man all the time.
Yeah, I think that's what from the outside perspective looking in, I've always thought about it as like, that must feel like a hill you may never be able to get over.
Yeah.
You know, is that daunting?
Does that sad thing make you sad?
Yeah, is that hard to come to terms with?
That sad thing does make me sad. It's a little hard to come to terms with, but it's like,
Because I feel like, and I'm sorry to interrupt, I feel like we don't talk about this kind of stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like people are just like, oh, they're non-binary. Next,
Right.
or whatever, and then they're like, well,
No, people
what's
are
really
actually like,
happening?
he's non-binary.
Right.
People are like,
right.
that man over there is
Yes.
non-binary. Yeah, no, it's and it's also just like people. It's hard to talk about because people think that you're mad at them,
Right.
Yeah.
which makes sense because like I think the way that it's most commonly portrayed. I mean, it's like anything else where the most extreme people have their like points amplified the most. So it's like the same people have the same idea about non-binary people that like a lot of us have about like people who voted for Trump, where like we just assume that there's 80 million people out there who like I fucking hate trans people
Yeah.
and I'm voting for Trump. When really it's like most of them aren't like that. They're just like, I mean, I think they're wrong, but but I don't think they're a bunch of people voting for him because they hate trans people. And then people think like, you know, oh, that person's non-binary, which means that they are going to get mad because the
Right.
people who have their voices amplified the most are the people who are like the most vocal and the most angry, like on any side of any issue.
Right.
And so like it does make it a little bit like I even feel weird correcting people
Right.
just because they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, no, it's fine. Like it's
It's like weird if you didn't.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just like, oh, I'll just be whatever you want me to be.
Right. But it's like it's weird when people like apologize. Like I know other non-binary people who like they list like what people would expect them to be. They like accept that as a pronoun, and it's literally just because they don't want people to like apologize to them all the time.
Right.
And so it's like, you know, if you're non-binary and you have a vagina, you're like, you can call me she just because I don't want to correct people and have them be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then people just kind of assume that you're going to be mad.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, for the most part, you just do have to like accept that not everyone is going to get it, which I think is a universal problem anyway.
Is it liberating in a sense, knowing that you're kind of just you are who you are and you don't really care what anyone thinks, or is that sort of depressing?
It is both. I think it's like it's liberating because I think that everyone eventually has to get to that point
Right.
of like I am like regardless of what your gender is, like you still nobody's gonna fully understand like the experience that you're having regardless of if you're the straightest dude of all time.
Right.
And so like I think that's something that everyone deals with, but then it's also just like, you know, you have people that you're closer to who get it more than other people. And really the weird thing, the thing that bums me out the most is just like if I post a reel about anything having to do with being queer, and then I get people in the comments who are like, you're a pedophile. And they'll be like, this guy's a pedophile. And I'm like, hey,
God damn.
I am not a guy.
She's a pedophile.
Right. No, but and so I'm like, who you calling a guy? But no, it's like, yeah, people will see me performing in a venue that makes sure everyone is 21 and older before they allow them in. And they'll be like, you're clearly forcing this on children and you're a pedophile. And I'm like, I don't want to see another child as long as I live.
Right.
So
Preach.
I mean, that is just kind of like it's the weird, scary hate that exists is honestly my only problem. I could get misgendered happily for the rest of my life if I wasn't like scared for my safety if I wanted to tell someone in like McHenry, Illinois that I'm actually non-binary.
Bingo.
Yeah.
That's kind of bringing me back to what I was talking about at the beginning. I'm so fascinated by people's existence because I don't carry that. Sort of like when I was asking you about what is it like being a woman. It's like I don't carry these feelings of like, oh, if I tell someone how I feel, they're gonna punch me in the face or whatever. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just so fascinated that that's another person's existence, and I'm just walking around like a big old fucking idiot.
Boobies.
Boobies, and y'all are walking around like, holy shit, you know, I gotta run home before I get on the train at night or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it also evolves to like the more you change, the more people will treat you differently.
Right.
You know? So it's like I'm a white woman. Like I don't know the experience of other people or whatever. Also, like I'm like not ugly, but I used to like just be like not attractive, and people treat you differently when you're attractive, and then you have like a privilege when you're
Right.
attractive. So it's like experience constantly changes.
Talk to me about that a little. What was that like when you started to become attractive and you weren't like, oh, I'm a big fucking uggo? Because I had a similar experience as well. I was a fucking weird little freak.
I never said I was a little uggo.
Well, I was a
Yeah.
little uggo. Sorry. I was disgusting.
Yeah. Olivia, when you stop being a completely disgusting
Yeah, when you figured your shit out.
swamp creature.
When you climbed out the mud. What was that? What was that?
What was it like when people stopped? What was it like when people stopped vomiting at the sight of you?
It's coming out. I'm getting ugly.
Now, did that make you sad or?
Right. Did that weird you out when people didn't?
But were you? I'm genuinely serious. Like, were you? I'm like actually serious right now. Were you frustrated by that? That you were like, oh, now you're fucking. I think when I kind of got a little decently attractive, not saying I'm anything to look at, folks, but when I got
This
decent,
guy's hot.
I'm hot. Come
This
on, we're
guy's
all
hot.
But when I got a little decently attractive, I did have some weird feelings of like, damn, like I've always been this awesome person. Now people care.
No, I felt really stupid. Like I felt so dumb because I like entered like I moved and entered a new scene, and I was like, everyone's so nice to me. Like I'm really making friends really fast, and like everyone cares about me. And this one guy pulled me aside and he was like, they all just want to have sex with you. And I was like,
Who was it?
just a fucking male comic.
Sounds like something I would tell you.
And then I was
Probably
like,
me.
oh, I never considered that could be something that's happening.
Right.
And then I like kind of like thought back to like male friendships I had, and I was like, oh, it's not really genuine.
Okay, let me ask you this. Do you find it disheartening? When that moment when you kind of discover that all men want is sex, was that like incredibly disheartening?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I think about that moment a lot. Is it like what that must have felt like as a woman when you realize like men are just deranged sex maniacs?
Yeah, I was like, oh, I didn't know. Like, I was just an idiot who like I lost my virginity so late, and like I didn't think about sex, and I didn't even think that other people were thinking about sex.
Right.
And then so to hear that, I was like, oh, you fucking idiot. And I was like, and all the girls hated me, and I didn't know why. And it's like, cause you fucking rolled up here as like a 22-year-old and like are hanging out with all these like drunks. Like,
Right.
no wonder they like you here.
Right.
But I thought that I was like, they liked my personality. And maybe
Right.
they did, because I'm awesome.
Amen.
They didn't.
Yeah, let's not. This isn't the lie to yourself podcast. Kidding. Yeah, well, I think about that quite often, because I feel like that just must be such an alarming thing to learn about the other half of, the other half of the world.
I know. I hate when guys. I definitely have been lied to in relationships too, where like guys would be like, "Yeah, I'm just not a very horny person. Like I just like you, and like I'm not." And then like 6 months later, like that chick's really hot walking by, and I'm like, "I thought you weren't a horny person." Like,
Well, there is a difference.
what do you mean?
You can like I know people who like are like not horny means like you don't want to like fuck all the time, but like you can still be not horny and be like,
Just checking people out all day?
Yeah.
Are you just checking people out all day?
Are you not?
Yeah, what? Yeah, I am. I mean, God, I'm on Instagram, then I'm in public. I mean, all day long, I'm looking at some version of an attractive person. But I have a serious problem,
Okay.
or maybe I'm normal.
But Dan says they do that too.
Right?
I mean, yeah, to a degree.
Yeah, I feel like that. But I can't tell if this is normal or if this is
I don't know. I think we have 3 weirdos in here, and we don't know.
right.
We
I
need
don't
like more of a
think the three
control
of
group.
us should actually be deciding what's normal.
Yeah, we're too far in the scales.
Right, true,
We
yeah.
need more groups in here talking.
Right. Yeah.
Because also, I think it comes in waves too. Like, I think that I was like in relationships, so I kind of didn't allow myself to look at other people, and so I think you have to retrain your brain to be like, I can have sex with people, I can be flirting with people.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if you guys have that fear.
We should get a normal person in here and just grill them.
Yeah. What's going on?
I've had plenty of normal people. Well, see, when I have a normal person in here, they're like, it's like everyone's so different. Some people are like, I don't think about any of this stuff. I just kind of go about my day to day. And, if I meet a girl I like, that's great. Other people are like, I have a severe sex addiction and I can't experience joy without the touch of another person. on a
Well,
daily
you're thinking
basis.
about it more, so you're probably seeing it more. You know, when you like hear a word, you learn a word, and then you hear it all the time. It's like you're creating the environment that you're chasing.
Right. Ooh, Jesus Christ.
So I'm not like chasing sex. So I'm not always like aware of a possibility for sex, even though it could be around me. I don't even realize.
Right. Fuck.
To me, it's like maybe it's a reworking. Maybe
Ooh,
you
that
need
kind
to
of just hit me with.
maybe you need to learn different words or something to distract yourself.
That just kind of hit me in the back of my brain there. Ruh-roh, did we just figure something out about ourselves? Holy shit. Let's get to the next question here. What's a fashion thing that men do that you can't stand?
Tucker's red. Tucker's red.
Holy shit. What about what's your least favorite kind of sock?
Pour water on you.
Interesting. Yeah, see, this is just such fascinating shit to me. I don't know. Okay, let's get off the sex stuff a little. We got about
Get off the sex
I
stuff.
don't mean to talk. I try not to make every episode about sex, but I'm literally
People
just
love
not,
sex.
Yeah, I'm not mentally well.
Can't wait to.
What do you guys kind of think about how being a creative person and like pursuing your dreams? How has that played into your life? Do you find it to be the best decision you've ever made, or do you at times have regrets?
I don't think about doing anything else.
Well, I get a lot of sex out of it. No, I do feel like, oh shit, I could have like pursued something that is a more stable career.
Yeah.
Or like I could have, pursued something where you can kind of more easily point to how it benefits society.
Right.
Like I feel like, doctors aren't always having to defend like being a doctor.
Would you be
as
a
much-
doctor if you weren't doing stand-up? You would be a doctor?
I thought about it. My whole family is doctors.
Wow.
But so it's just kind of like, I don't know. I think about that sometimes, and I think about like, oh shit, I was like smart the whole time I was in school. Maybe I could have like used that better. But then I think about like just the day-to-day life of doing that, and I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. And if I were doing it, I wouldn't want to do it. And then it's like, well, who wants a half-assed doctor? Like,
You want a full ass.
You want
a
whole
doctor?
All
that-
doctors are like half-ass.
Right.
Who wants a doctor that like wishes they were a comic?
I don't want that.
I know a couple of doctors that are also comedians, if you can fucking believe it. Well, the reason I asked this is because I think one of the things that has sparked a lot of joy in my life and has gotten me through a lot of like dark times, because a lot of times the boys write in and they're very sad and they feel a little lost. And I think especially like our generation, there's a lot of people who are just kind of meandering through their existence. And I think finding something to tinker with, despite how ridiculous and how stupid it may fucking seem, is actually like such a beneficial thing for your life.
Yeah.
I think that's how I feel about like comedy. It's like I don't even care about comedy really. I mean I do, but like what it really is for me is a thing to engage with. And like you can never master it. It's a lifelong pursuit. And I find a lot of these guys who may be struggling out there, they just don't have anything to do.
Yeah. It's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm happy that I have a thing that I like to do.
Did you ever have a time in your life where you just kind of sat around? When I was very young, I just kind of sat around and watched like YouTube and porn and shit. Truthfully.
I think so. I always have done something creative. Like I've always been part of my identity is like being creative, and I've always felt very strong in that. What the creative thing has changed, but I always felt very clear in my identity with that. I think
Right.
it was everything else in my life I struggled like with for identity. So I don't think I would be doing anything else because I wasn't really good at anything else.
Right.
Like I just don't really have like a school brain that does well. And it's not like I could have gotten like. It's not like I could have been a doctor.
Right.
Because I'm a woman.
Dan's over there bragging
Well,
because you're a woman.
Dan's like, I'd be a doctor.
No, the whole point of what I was saying is that I would not have pulled it off.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
You wouldn't have enjoyed it enough.
But
to
I
keep
can
doing
take
it.
the shit out of a standardized test, I will
Yeah.
say.
Right, of course. Awesome. Well, incredible, guys. That's kind of been the episode. We do end on one final question for the two of you every single time. This is the other question that we ask besides how do you approach a woman in public.
Okay.
And it's what is your one piece of life advice to anybody? And it can be silly, it can be dumb, or it can be prophetic and profound. Because one thing about me, guys, this fucking podcast doesn't always have to be funny. I hate how every podcast has
This
to
was
be
a very
funny.
profound podcast episode. I
Yeah,
think.
I like to talk sometimes.
I think it was
I hate riffing.
Okay.
So-
I think
sorry.
I think it was an insightful episode.
Yeah, I hope someone gets something out of it.
I know. I was like, I'm not being funny, but I don't think it's
You don't
required.
have to be funny.
Well,
What's your one piece of life advice for anybody?
what's yours?
Mine would say be yourself at all costs, but they know that. I say that every time. It's you. No matter what, even if you fucking think somebody might hate you, you just got to be yourself. And if somebody hates you, then that's the price.
Okay.
What about you, Dan?
I think that the entire point of life is the experience. And so people who are like constantly struggling to find a meaning and stuff like that, it's like the meaning is baked in. It's just the whole meaning is just to like be here and look at shit and do shit and like
Right.
get hurt and suffer a lot and then also be really happy sometimes. And it's like the whole thing is just like a fun giant ride. And I think people put a lot of pressure on their lives, whether it's like religious or where they go like, oh, am I living the right way? Or am I going to look back and say I should have done this or I should have done that? And it's like, just fucking look at shit, like eat some stuff, you know?
Live a little. For
Yeah,
God's sake.
exactly. It's like, I honestly think that's the whole point, but I could be wrong. And maybe the whole point is like, no, you were actually supposed to go to church the whole
Yeah.
time. And
Whoops.
And,
you were
and
supposed to be
you-
a doctor.
and like I could get to the end and it turns out it's really bad that you weren't going
Yeah.
to church the whole time.
You get to the end, they're like, all right, you're going to be working the gate of
They're
hell.
like,
You
yeah,
looked
that
at too
was-
much shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to the end and they're gonna go, that was not the point. They're playing this podcast episode and they're
What
like,
the hell
well,
was that?
I'll be down there cooking as well with Kamala Harris and Donald Trump at the most deepest pits of hell, everybody. That's been the episode.
I didn't get to say my
Wait.
Oh,
advice.
shit, I'm so sorry.
yeah,
Go
Olivia
ahead.
needs
Sorry,
to
sorry,
do
sorry.
life advice.
I was
What's
ready.
it like to be a woman? That, Tucker.
Oh, fuck.
And that's the episode.
I'm just kidding.
No, I'm so sorry.
My piece of advice is just as profound as theirs. When you are doing laundry, you don't need to buy detergent because detergent soaks into the machine, especially if you're going to a laundromat. Every time someone puts soap in there, there's already soap in there. You don't need to be buying detergent because it's already soaked into the machine. You just have to turn it on.
What?
You don't need to buy detergent.
Don't listen to that.
You
That
don't
is
need to
so
buy
not
detergent.
true.
You don't need to buy detergent. I haven't used detergent in years.
What?
Feel my shirt. Feel my pants. Everything feels fine. Feel my pants. Feel my pants.
I would rather not on account of that feels
Feel my shirt.
Olivia's life advice is feel my pants.
it feels clean.
You guys, I think
It
that's good
feels
advice.
clean.
It's clean. It is clean.
But everything feels clean.
There's
You
no detectable
Yeah,
slime.
everything feels. This room's disgusting. If you knew what's happening
It's
here.
not sticky. You don't need soap, and that's true.
Right.
It's soaked in machines. Hold the, especially if someone just at a laundromat, someone just used that. Someone just put soap in there. You don't need to put soap in there.
Yeah, but they also just put their like dirty.
They
yeah,
wash it.
I think that's kind of
Grimy.
reprehensible.
Really? That was bad.
Because
Really?
couldn't you use the same argument to say that everything on their clothes is also in the machine?
Okay, can I pick a different piece of advice?
Yes. Give us another one, but it can't just be that.
Yeah, try to make
Okay,
it
this one is for the
better.
ladies. So they make men's shaving products better than women's because the men's use them on their faces. So if you use that on the areas you like to shave, it'll be smoother than a woman's product.
God, I really want to ask another question now that you've said that.
Yes, go ahead.
What is having a period like? You don't actually have to answer that. Sorry.
No, every time I have my period, I am freaking out. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, what's
Why am I
going
doing?
on?
It's so crazy, and it's so crazy that chickens have them, dogs have them,
Chickens have them?
chickens have them. We're all
Yeah,
having
that's-
our period.
That's literally what eggs are.
Eggs are period.
Oh.
Doesn't that freak you out?
Do you
all
feel
the
like
hormones.
you're going a little crazy when it happens?
Yeah, totally. I'll like hate myself, and I'll like wear an outfit that you wear all the time because you're like, I look good in this outfit. This is my outfit.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good on me at that time of the month. Like I hate myself, and I'm like, why do I hate myself? And then I'll get my period.
Are you like freaking out internally, or are you just like,
Yeah,
oh,
internally I'll get really depressed. But I've heard, you've heard of PMS, right?
Yeah.
So PMS is actually not real.
What is
It's
it?
like a myth, PMS. So PMS, so people say it's like before you get your period, you get really cranky. Like men invented that term to like kind of invalidate like it invalidates your emotions.
Oh, wow. Can I be honest? fire move on our part.
That was
So
pretty
if you're
smart.
so if you're upset and it's like almost like, of course any time could kind of be before your period and you're just like, oh, I'm PMSing, when it's like you're not actually validating your own emotions, you're just kind of blaming it on your period.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it makes you feel gaslit.
So I'm trying not to be like I get emotional on my period because that's what I've been told. So I feel like because I've been told that I'm that way, that I become that way. So I'm trying to be like, you don't act bad you don't act differently on your period. I'm
Right.
trying to like manifest that.
Right, you're acting totally normal.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I'm also so curious about how women's periods sync up. I keep asking people.
No one knows that.
No one knows.
No one knows.
This is why I love women. You're just like magical.
We are
creatures.
magical.
It's just like no one has an answer.
We are crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy that we birth people too.
Yeah.
Thinking
Makes me
about
Wait,
that.
do they actually sync up?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like on the
anytime I have a
space
female
station and
roommate,
shit?
yeah. Well, anytime I have a female roommate, like we always have the same period at the same time. Like not the
Damn.
same. It's separate periods, but same.
What
The
the
same
the
period.
same.
Just,
We
it's
have
all-
it at the same time.
That'd be nice if you could switch off. You could be
Yeah,
like,
can you
it's
take
your
this
turn.
on Tuesday?
It's like a light.
Guys, I did October. You're
Yeah,
doing
you get
November.
This is so crazy to me. We haven't come up with an explanation for that, but
People have theories. I don't remember what they are.
no lie. One of my goals on this pod is to have one like a
I heard they'd be shopping.
they can't fucking cut it out.
You should have made. I would be down to come back and have a period themed episode.
Well, for real, I want to have on like a menstrual expert and ask her about these type of things.
Okay.
The way I want this show to go is eventually I just want to get to the point where I'm like, I'm just like interviewing women and going, what the
Asking
fuck
the
is
hard-hitting
going on?
questions.
Yeah.
What the hell's your
No,
deal?
you should-
Yeah, what the
anyway?
fuck's wrong with you
You should look
guys?
into the PMS stuff because it's really interesting. We just created this fake thing and like women believe it and like have manifested it.
Wow, that's absolutely.
That's what we did with gender as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna throw that in there.
That's so
There's-
true.
That's actually what we did with like most of.
It's the truck backing up outside. Sorry.
That's what we did with like most of society.
Men kind of went.
that
Let's
it's-
go with this.
Yeah, and it.
It's the chair, probably. It's not a rat. There's no rats in here. Maybe there are.
There's no rats. This is a really
you hear
nice
that
place.
squeaking?
I don't
I mean,
know if you noticed how nice
definitely
this place is, but it's nice.
There's definitely cockroaches in here. Someone's probably something like that.
Oh my god.
Anyways, guys, we gotta end this fucking podcast. I'm
We gotta
sorry.
get the
I got
hell outta here.
I got the yapping about periods. Y'all know the fucking deal. Thanks so much for tuning into another episode of the Practical Advice for Weird Little Guys Being Cool. Too long of a title podcast. Olivia, Dan, thank you so much for coming on. You guys plug your goddamn social medias, tell them your dates, do the whole thing.
Oh, G Carter.
At OG Carter,
At Dan Docimo.
at Dan Docimo, and where are you guys gonna be at? If you have any dates, plug them right now.
I'll be in LA in January, all month.
All month. Dan.
Don't know what I'm doing yet.
I'll be back at Zany's in Chicago soon. I'm
Say
there
no
a
more.
lot.
Say absolutely no more. Another absolute heater of an episode. I felt like that was incredibly interesting and introspective, and I appreciate you guys coming on and letting me ask you all these things.
Yeah, did we do a good job?
You guys did a great job, and I hopefully you guys aren't offended that I tried to get deep with you. Y'all know the motherfucking drill. Shout out to all the theys, thems, queers, blacks, Jews, whites, everyone but the Zionist. Free Palestine. We'll see you next week.